Oh, okay. Okay, all right. So Kashimo's gonna be the one to break Jujutsu Kaisen, huh? Kashimo? All right, let's see what you got to say about that.
Thank you to our $5 patrons, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gem Lord Sean, and Demix LNT. Another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Wolf 4765. Another thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha and Idemokami. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose.
Before I have this breakdown of Kashimo will break Jujutsu Kaisen by Blzkn Anime, please remember to leave your own thoughts on whether or not Kashimo will break Jujutsu Kaisen in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get these same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the live reaction. What's up, guys? Hunter here, and here we are to react to Blzkn Anime's Kashimo will break Jujutsu Kaisen. And before we hop into this, number one, please check out the original video. Go support Blzkn Anime. His link to the channel and the original video will be in the description down below. Please go support. Please go check him out. I have been watching this man for a while now. I've just been waiting for a video to live react to, because usually his videos are like decently long. Like, let me just see other ones that I would think about reacting to. They're like 10 minutes. And, you know, 10 to 16 minutes for me is like 2 hours on a good day. So like I've just been looking for a time to set aside, and he just dropped this Kashimo video pretty recently, so I'm a little bit excited. I've been clouding on Kashimo a little bit as of recent, mainly because in these last couple chapters, he's kind of just been posted up with his arms crossed like he really better do something. But, you know, I was a Kashimo glazer myself. Still low-key kind of am. So let's see what Blzkn Anime has to say about the main man, the myth, the lightning beast himself, Kashimo Hachime. Let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing B, ready, 3, 2, 1... go.
Hajime Kashimo.
That is in fact his name. But before we hop into this, I do have it on me. I keep it on me at all times. I'm assuming the video is going to be worthy. Blzkn Anime makes really, really good content. Let me leave a like on this video real quick. But with that being the case, hello. Fun fact, once again, I'm going to say it again. Please go check out the original video for one, because it's a good video. I haven't even watched it yet, but I know it's a good video. It's by Blzkn Anime. Go check them out. Go sub. Go like the video. Go do all that good stuff. And also, I talk a lot. Like a lot. Like this video is 9 minutes and 55 seconds. We are not going to be here for 9 minutes and 55 seconds. So if you want to watch the original video without all my pausing, all my yapping, all my dishonorable discussion, whatever you want to call it, please go peep the original video. First things first, before we hop into it, let me tell you my general thoughts about Kashimo and breaking Jujutsu Kaisen before I let Blzkn Anime try to convince me otherwise. I don't know. Like, notably, I ain't got no faith in Kashimo right now. Now, here's the thing. There are a couple reasons why. Number one, bro standing on the sidelines right now. Like broski, really? Like, I don't know. I was expecting Kashimo to be the opening act of Gojo versus Sukuna, not the closing one. So, like, I'm a little bit disappointed on that front for Kashimo not getting active. Number two, I don't know. It's just like Kashimo's scaling, at least without his curse technique. We have no idea what his curse technique is. I'm going to make a video talking about what his curse technique could be. I want to get that out before it probably gets revealed within the manga. I have like 3 main guesses, so I'm going to make a video talking about that. But even with that in mind, I just don't see him clearing the massive gap between him and Sukuna. If he was struggling with Jackpot Hakari, I just don't see him beating Sukuna. Like, that's the thing. Even with a hypothetical crazy curse technique, like, I don't see him beating Maharaga, not to talk of Sukuna himself. So that's the second thing. Third thing, I don't know. It just feels like Kashimo fits very neatly within the bounds of Jujutsu Kaisen specifically. Like, he takes advantage of everything in the verse except for, like, domains. But other than that, he takes English. He takes great advantage of the cursed energy trait stuff. He uses the lightning bolt really well. He's a good hand-to-hand combatant. He's really good with cursed energy reinforcement. He's really good in combat. Like, he's just good at everything within Jujutsu Kaisen. So the idea of him breaking Jujutsu Kaisen kind of feels a little bit off kilter to me, but that's just me. And let's see what Blzkn has to say about our man Kashimo Hajime, the Lightning Beast.
One of the strongest characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, one of the strong.
Hold on, let's take it from the top real quick.
Hajime Kashimo, one of the strongest characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, and one of the strongest antagonists in the Culling games. In his
yeah, y'all thought I was about to say Kashimo wasn't one of the most powerful antagonists, huh? No, he is. Like, I think, is it just verbatim impossible to argue he's not top 10? If you don't like the Yuta statement, you can argue he isn't, because he doesn't scale anywhere other than, like, above Panda and relative to Jackpot Hakari. But, like, come on now, come on now, Yuta fans, just give us a statement. He's pretty solidly a top 10. Like, I don't think I can name 10 whole characters stronger than Kashimo. Like, go at the top of my head. Let me try and name characters just straight up stronger. Not saying they beat him in a matchup or anything. Like, well, I guess it would be matchup specific for some of them. Gojo and Sukuna. Oh, shock horror. The two strongest people in the verse are going to be stronger than Kashimo. I think Kenny beats Kashimo. Current Kenny specifically. Obviously the one that when Kashimo was like fighting 400 years ago and when he was an old man, it appears that Kenny didn't want the smoke, so I don't think Kenny beats Kashimo, but I do think current Kenny does. Current Kenny's just a little bit too crazy. Like, those are the three solid ones. Like, you can make a pretty solid argument for Yuki beating him. Like, if you don't think... It really depends on how fast you think Yuki is. If you think Yuki being relative to Kenjaku is enough that she'd be relative to Kashimo, then Kashimo tries to hit her, and then Yuki swings back and then takes his arm off. And Kashimo hasn't shown RCT or anything like that. Bro has not shown the ability to regenerate. So, like, if he loses an arm or a limb or takes extreme damage, like... Say Yuki does the thing that she did to Kenjaku, and like Kashimo goes to block like he did against Panda, because Kashimo, he did just block. Like, to be fair, Kashimo should have just blitzed Panda, but Kashimo went out of his way to block Panda's first strike. If he tries to do that same thing against Yuki, he dies. There's no way. So I'm gonna put Yuki above him. I'm just gonna do that. Plus, Yuki has domain and Garuda. Like, I'll make a more in-depth video on that because I feel like that is an interesting topic. But that is 4. Yuta's very weird. Yuta's very weird. If Kashimo can get the bolt off in the right spot, I think he takes out Yuta. But I'll say Yuta's like 50-50 for Kashimo. Then, like, personally, low-key, I know this is going to sound crazy, I have Kashimo above Jackpot Hakari. But pencil, Jackpot Hakari won. Yeah, I don't care. I still put Kashimo above him. Ash. I think Maki and Toji, just with the 15-finger speed scaling, if you accept it, I know a lot of people don't, but if you accept it, because Sukuna says his physical movement is unhindered. He specifically says his physical movement is unhindered. Then I'm gonna lean towards Kashimo getting one shot by a soul split katana. Like, I know you're looking at the guy who made Kashimo versus Toji. It was like, oh, Kashimo slams, but I wasn't thinking. I just did not consider what the implications of chapter 215 held. Plus soul split katana. Like, that alone is crazy. Like, Kashimo's no way to resist soul split katana as far as I know, so he kind of just gets one tap because once again, no RCT from him. We don't know if he has RCT. I don't think he does. He recognizes it, he knows how to combat it, but I don't think he has RCT, so he's stuck on a luck there. And then that's what, 7 characters. I can't think of any more characters. He beats Jogo, he beats Hanami, he beats Dagon. The one person he may have issue against is Mahito out of the Disaster Curses, maybe because he doesn't have a confirmed domain to negate Mahito's technique. But, like, I genuinely believe, if you think that Mahito can just be worn down through consistent damage, Kashimo could just beat Mahito over and over and over and over. It just keeps styling on him until Mahito ends up running out of cursed energy and perishing that way. So I'd even put him above Mahito, just in terms of, like, raw stats. And then, like, Ryu is weird. I think Ryu versus Kashimo was a super interesting matchup. I would say in terms of raw power, Ryu's stronger. Like, I would say that, but I wouldn't... Like, who do I have in a fight? That's a matchup I'm working on. I still need to think on that, because that's, like, weirdly complicated. Because, realistically, Kashimo's punches shouldn't be able to do too much. But the lightning bolt is the weird thing. Because if you go with the idea, right, that output includes, like, everything in the series in terms of raw cursed energy output without any extra special properties that deal with, like, durability negation or stuff like that. So no, like, idle transfiguration, no Cleave mention, no stuff like that, because those have special properties. Cleave tries to Duraneg, but through adjusting to your durability. Soul Split Katana attacks the soul, which ignores conventional durability. Isle Transfiguration skips over conventional durability. Ignoring all of that stuff, in terms of raw output, if you think that Kashimo's Lightning Bolt falls under output, it's gonna sound crazy. Ryu should be able to tank it, because he's able to tank his own attacks, throw them back at him. And he has the highest output. Granted blasts are the hardest hitting thing in the verse. The bolts should be included under that. They should be included on output. If you think the bolts are included under that, then arguably Ryu should be Kashimo, because Kashimo, at least because Kashimo wouldn't use his curse technique, and Ryu has more than enough raw power to do some real damage to Kashimo. If Ryu could like char Yuta's hands with granite blasts, and Yuta should be more durable than Kashimo due to the curse energy amount, then realistically, at least in my opinion, being completely real with y'all, I do think that Ryu could take Kashimo. I'll make a more in-depth video on that. I know a lot of Kashimo fans are going to be happy that I'm saying that, but once again, it's only if you think the bolts fall underneath Ryu. If you think the bolts are a weird exception to the output thing, even though they are literally just cursed energy output, then it can get a little bit confusing. And like the speed stuff, there's things that you could get a little bit tragic when it comes to Ryu versus Kashimo. But regardless, even with me like gassing up all these separate characters, I still don't think Kashimo gets kicked out of the top 10. I think it's literally impossible. Like, unless you like try to throw Maharaga and maybe like fully manifested Rika in there as an independent character. But even then, who knows? Who knows? Okay, not Maharaga. Kashimo has no way to beat Maharaga. But still, Kashimo, super duper powerful. And he is one of the most powerful Culling game antagonists. It's like him and Ryu are the top two, I'd say. Unless you include Yorozu as Culling game antagonist too, then she's up there as well. But like, that's the top three. He's definitely stronger than Uro. Definitely stronger than Higuruma. Definitely stronger than Reggie. And I'd say even stronger than Curse no Oya. And I think Curse no Oya is cracked. But I can definitely see Kashimo beating him with the lightning bolt. So, general thoughts. See what I mean? It's already, I'm looking at the time right now. It's already 11 minutes. I'm 8 seconds into the video. I'm sorry, let's go.
Introduction. We see him use his trademark lightning attack, in which he creates a donut onto one of his opponents, and we see him introduce one of the first Culling game rules where you can find the location and the name of an individual. With this, he was searching for Sukuna, and this was the first introduction of his idea of wanting to hunt down the strongest user in history. But now, in chapter 220,
27. Yeah, so there's the big thing. There's the big thing. Another reason why I'm not like, I even made you, well, if you guys are on the channel, you saw I made the Kashimo's kind of a fraud video. He's on some fraudulent activity because he's just been standing around. Like, bro, really just has been lurking about. You're like, oh no. Well, to be fair, he's not like, he's the only one who's not sweating. He's not concerned. He's even said that if Gojo goes, he's got next. He's got, next time it's going to be his turn on the Xbox. But like, I don't know, bro. The fact that this is his entire, I've said it many times before and I'll say it again. The fact that his entire character was based around, he literally decided to resurrect and join the Culling games specifically because he wanted to fight Sukuna. And then the opportunity of a lifetime, of a second lifetime, is literally there to fight Sukuna. And he's waiting until Sukuna has a big bad battle with the other strongest dude before he tries to run the fate with Sukuna. That feels off to me. I don't know. I don't like that for Kashimo's character in particular. But you know, that's just me. Maybe not everyone sees that fraudulent activity. That's fine. So let's see what he has to say.
After seeing Sukuna go on a masterclass of a performance, Kashimo has reaffirmed his ideals and said, I got next in case Gojo loses. Now, is Kashimo hyping himself too much? Is he really about that life? And why is Kashimo going to break Jujutsu Kaisen? And this video will explain it all.
Alright. I'm trying to think of a reason. I think it is just like the unknown curse technique, right? Because that's it. Because like nothing Kashimo's done is like too crazy. Like at least from what we've seen so far, nothing he's done is too crazy. So I think it does have to be this unknown curse technique. I have to take a guess. I have to think. Like what else does he have? I have no idea what else he has that could literally break Jujutsu. So let's say.
First, let's look at all the Culling game antagonists, in specific the ones that were incarnated sorcerers. Yorozu, Ryu, Uro, Reggie, and Drew. Juve really having a lacking kind of performance. We didn't really get to see too much of him.
Drew, my boy, man, he got so, and like realistically, like of course, you know, being the leader of like some ancient squad in the Heian era and having the highest curse energy output out of all Culling games participants, like those are cool, but like in terms of like accolades, I don't know, conquering an entire peninsula is like crazy. So the fact that he got low diff by Yuta, literally pretty much off screen, like we see the slash happen. That's it. We see the slash happen, but it might as well have been an off screen low diff, if not a flat out no diff, because Yuta doesn't take any damage from Drew. It is crazy that Drew got done as dirty as he did.
And kind of his purpose in the Culling game. But people such as Ryu was looking for dessert, Uro wanted to continue and live her life, and Yuruzu wanted to go find Sukuna, so three of them, to an extent, have completed part of their missions for coming back in the Culling game. Now one of them who hasn't, and obviously the most important...
I mean, I guess Hirozu got what she wanted, in a way, because she did want to live. She wanted to live for Sukuna and take Sukuna's life. She didn't get to take Sukuna's life with herself, but she did get her life taken by Sukuna. So that's one thing. Hirozu kind of got what she wanted. Uro, is she still in Sendai? Like, I actually don't. Is she still in Sendai? Like, is she still sitting on that roof being like, oh no, Sukuna senpai, I don't want him to notice me. Like I have no idea, but she may still be chilling, not like a villain, because she was very anti-villainous when Sukuna pulled up. But I think she's not living her life. She seems stressed. Like, she didn't leave. Like, notably, the moment Yorozu introduced the idea of being able to travel between or like leave colonies, the fact that Uro and Ryu were still chilling in Sendai is weird to me. Like, maybe Ryu makes sense because Ryu. Then again, Ryu got what he wanted too. I could have sworn like those designs we see right before the Kashimo fight, I literally thought that's what Ryu and Uro were doing. I thought Yuta beat the taste out their mouths and like gave Uro an awakening to like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna stop fighting. I gave him my points, I'm gonna leave and just go out and live her life in the modern day, like Blzkn said, like she wanted to do. She wanted to live her own life by her own means and rules, not subservient to the Fujiwara and stuff like that. So I thought she was gonna do that when you saw her with like the I think it was like a one-piece suit and then one piece suit and the baggy pants, and then Ryu had his hair down and was in like a leather jacket. I could have sworn they were gonna go off and just live lives, and then Yuta was gonna bring him up and be like, bring, yeah, what's going on, bro? Hey, I need you to pull up. Pull up to who? What you need, bro? Hey, we're about to fight Sukuna. We could use the guy with the highest cursed energy output in all of history here. I bet send me the Addy, bruh. And then Ryu would pull up, and then Uro was gonna, and then Yuta would also go bring, and then be like, Uro, and she'd be like, what do you want, filthy Fujiwara? I'm living my life right now. He'd be like, so we need your help to fight Sukuna. Boom. She'd hang up the phone, and then she'd go back to living her life. So the fact that they were still chilling in the colony is kind of crazy. And of course, Ryu's gone. Like, Ryu, I mean, he got Ryu's second dessert was so sweet, it gave him diabetes, and he immediately died. So, like, Ryu got what he wanted, I guess, but, like, he immediately perished. So, and then, like, we don't talk, what was Reggie's motivation? Reggie's motivation was just, like, live and fail safe. That was it. He had no idea what was actually going on. And to be fair, while he was right about Kenjaku dropping La Bomba, like, it didn't really amount to anything. Like, unless Kenjaku has a second La Bomba that we don't know about, the military plotline was dropped as soon as it was introduced. It did nothing. Like that is, like, for the longest time, I would gas Gege up by saying Gege's pretty much never missed. Like, everything is either always important or always peak. The military plotline, at least for now, unless Gege circles back to it, because JJK is confirmed to not be ending this year. That was stated, I believe, in either an interview or a fan book or a recent fan book or something like that, or at the end of a recent volume release. Gege did state he was kind of gassing himself a little bit too much when he said he was going to end this year. So we do have more JJK on the way. It is still possible for us to get more of that JJK goodness. So unless we take a little break after Gojo versus Sukuna, I think the military plotline was just a miss. And that's all Reggie was planning for. That supposed big La Bomba Grande. That was all he was planning for. And that ended up going nowhere. So, I don't know. But let's see.
One that we're expecting to see something being Kashimo. Another one is Angel, but with Angel being someone close to the gang, in specific managed to unseal Gojo. Her plan of, well, stopping all the Culling game members is really contingent on Gojo as well, which means that their plan can eventually be achieved.
What was Angel's plan? Like knowing how strong Angel was in retrospect. Like, did they really think that anyone was going to be alive that was going to be able to actually beat Sukuna like they wanted? Like, was that actually something they had faith and, like, being able to do? Because I don't know. In retrospect, as crazy as Angel is, you know, being able to hit Sukuna, tag Sukuna with Jacob's Ladder and do, like, real damage to him. Like, still, what were they expecting? Like, what modern sorcerers were they think were going to be out and about? Did they think the hand arrow was just going to, like, continue popping off for eternity? I have no idea, but let's see.
If Gojo was to win. Nevertheless, this has led to Kashimo getting ready to fight the King of Curses. Now, I see a lot of people have been making fun of Kashimo. They're like, well, who's gassing him? What has he seen that has allowed him to think that he can deal with a Sukuna?
It is me. It's me. It's me. I've been clowning on Kashimo. Because what right? What kind of like, to a certain point, confidence turns to arrogance. Kashimo, at least for right now, with him, like, yeah, I got next. Yeah, you know, if Gojo goes, it's me. Yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, well, like, bro's literally just been chatting. Bro has literally just been chatting. There's been no action, no proof. He has not hopped on the sticks. Bro should have immediately hopped on the sticks. Bro has yet to hop on any of the sticks, bro. Any of them. Any of them. Any of them. Like, not a single stick at all. So the fact that bro's talking all this smack, he's begging for me to clown on him. Like, it's not my fault. Like, you have not heard me. Okay, I've been clowning on you a little bit because he's just been, like, dripping sweat for these last couple chapters. But, like, outside of that, you've not heard me clown on Hakari. Because Hakari knows his place. He knows he's not like that. He has not said a word. He looked at Kashimo and was like, okay. He did not say a word. You have not heard me clowning on Kirabara. You've not heard me clowning on Itadori. None of these people have been standing up and talking smack. But Kashimo's been standing up and talking smack with nothing to prove it. So that's why I've been clowning on him. So he is right. People, it's me. I'm people. I've been clowning.
Even think that Gojo is going to lose. And listen, I think this is just important to a person who has a strong sense of self. And here's just confidence in, if Gojo loses, I will step up and fight. But more than just that,
okay, but here's my thing about that strong sense of self thing. At least for my interpretation of Kashimo's character, and notably, I've been wrong in character interpretations before. For the longest time, I had a weird misconception about Sukuna's character. Now I feel like I have a slightly better understanding of it because I've had people explain it to me. So I'm like, oh, now I like Sukuna way more as a character. Even if I still think he's relatively simple, I do believe kenjaku is going to be the final villain. But that's another thing. At least from my personal understanding of Kashimo's character, he seemed like the kind of guy who would want to fight the strongest at their strongest. Like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would want sloppy seconds. I feel like Kashimo's fine with running a gauntlet. Like, he wouldn't care if you and all your homies came and tried to jump him at the same time, or like he fought one of you and then another one of you showed up and then another one of you showed up. Like, he didn't care. You see that when he goes from fighting Panda into immediately transitioning into fighting Hakari. Bro wasn't mad. He didn't care. In fact, he was a little bit excited. That's fine by me, but it seemed like Kashimo, especially based on how the kind of timing he was on for a majority of the narrative ever since he was introduced, he seemed like the kind of guy who wants to take down someone at their best. He wants to fight the strongest at their strongest so there can be no doubts about it. So Kashimo, standing there on the sidelines, gassing himself up, that doesn't sound like a show of confidence to me. It's low, once again, it's arrogance. It's arrogance. Like, oh yeah, I can do this. Yeah, it's me. It's me. It's all me. It's all me. I got that. Yeah, it's me. I'm just like that. Like, clearly you aren't, because you aren't the one on the battlefield right now. You're the one watching. And that's why I think I would have none of these problems with Kashimo, even if Kashimo got one tapped, if he went first. Just like literally just make Kashimo go first, have him be the opener to go to versus Sukuna, and we're good. He clearly wants to do it, but he didn't want it enough that he actually tried it, which is crazy to me. And like, I get it, because there have been Kashimo defenders in my comments, and trust me, I still love the character. And like, no matter how much or how aggressively I clown on that man, trust me, I still love Kashimo's character. But big booty butt cheeks. A lot of people have been saying, oh, well, it's probably like Hakari telling Kashimo, hey, yo, bro, like, I get it. You want to fight Sukuna. You can fight Sukuna. Just let Gojo Sensei try first. He's our variation of the strongest. I know you know Sukuna is the strongest, but he's our strongest. And also, that's kind of his kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, back in the day, he used to bring Megami on Take Your Kid to Work days. So, like, Sukuna's in that kid's vessel, and like he has this weird special technique that like paralyze Sukuna and get him out. So hopefully if we like get Sukuna out the body, then go ahead, you can fight. Like, essentially people are telling me like, oh, Kashimo has a deal with Hakari and whatever, and that's why Kashimo's not fighting. But like, while I do like the fact that Hakari and Kashimo are now bros, it feels like Kashimo, once again, just my interpretation of the character, feel free to prove me wrong, it feels like Kashimo's the kind of guy who would like be like, oh, that's real tragic. Maybe even new Paddock. But unfortunately, I want smoke and it's automatic. And he would immediately go ahead and fight Sukuna anyway, like regardless of Megami being involved or not. Kashimo does not seem like the kind of guy who would care. Or that, oh no, it's his son. He needs it. Like, I don't know. Especially considering the whole context of Kashimo working with them was under the pretense that he'd get to fight Sukuna. So like, the fact that he's not taking that opportunity, or at least fighting for it. Like, it'd be one thing if, like, in the middle of the little month time skip in chapter 222, we got to see, like, him having a discussion with Gojo, and they're, like, actually, like, having a combo, being like, hey, I'm trying to get first. Like, let me run up first. And then, like, Kashimo and Gojo spar real quick. Gojo lays him out, and then Kashimo's like, well, all right, fine, you got him. But even then, we didn't get that. We're just having Kashimo gas himself up from the side, and that's not... I'm not rocking.
I think this is the foreshadowing we need, that this clash is most definitely happening. And to the people who thought that Gege forgot, well, he did not, and Kashimo's stocks are through the roof. After the narrative portrayal, and
Kashimo's stocks are in the toilet right now. At least to me. Like, at least to me, they're in the toilet right now. Because Kashimo's standing on the sidelines is, like, super fraudulent. Like, that, like... I don't invest too often, but I do invest. If a company, like, says they're going to do something, and then they proceed to not do it, especially with, like, no, like, stated reason for why they didn't do it, like, there are certain scenarios where, like, a company will say they're going to do something, and then they proceed to not do it, but then they'll tell you why they didn't do it. Like, either an investment fell through, or, like, external world conditions happened, or something like that. We have none of that for Kashimo. Kashimo's just not fighting. Pretty fraudulent, bro. I don't know. I feel like his stocks are down, but let's see. He says the stocks
reaffirm this, especially as we've seen everything that Sukuna has been doing in this clash. And Kashimo is still confident in himself. I think that shows a level of degree of how special this one-time curse technique is, already on top of his crazy stats. Now, Kashimo...
But once again, where do we go? What's the line between confidence and arrogance? Because Ryu... not running from Sukuna was straight arrogance. Like as I haven't mentioned him too much, but trust me, I'm probably the biggest Ryu glazer you're ever. I'm a Ryu rider till I go, bro. Like straight up, you could not tear me off of it. I love Ryu. He's a top 10 character in my opinion. Like both as a character and like arguably stats wise. Like legitimately, I have Ryu super duper high rated for me. But even I, as a number one Ryu stan, a Ryu gasser, if you will, an Ishigori, I can't think of a word that relates to consumption that also starts with I. So just a Ryu rider, as a licensed Ryu rider. Even I'm like, no, bro, that was stupid. Like, you just shouldn't have done that, bro. Of all the mistakes you could have made, trying to run up on 15 finger was not wise. And I feel like Ryu being confident enough in doing that is just a testament to him being a little bit too overconfident. That's the same way I feel about Kashimo right now. Sure, he's watching. He may be having, like, genuine stats and all that. But, like, I feel like he's just overconfidence. And in that one-time curse technique, I don't know.
He's nowhere near comparable to Sukuna. I mean, if we keep it realistic, he's getting Ryu'd as he is right now. However, this would...
Yes. Yes.
from the
We
Ryu
agree.
clash and the Jogo fight because of the events of him being able to see Sukuna go all out. Sukuna going all out, he's going to have full information on his curse techniques, his reverse curse technique, his efficiency, his curse energy reserves, domain expansion, and more. Meaning he won't be blindsided in a clash where if he had fought beforehand, which a lot of us were expecting, he would have just pulled up, got washed, and then, well, that would have been a wrap. More than just that, we now have a situation where the main reveal of his curse technique, being Sukuna, can happen through the fight with Gojo, with more things to come potentially if this fight is to happen after. But it also opens a nice little plot thread for our main cast with the fact that Kashimo can be someone who interrupts a clash or some plot twist which changes the narrative, which keeps both Gojo and Sukuna alive, or giving us a potential avenue of actually seeing Kashimo get to go all out against Sukuna. More than just that, it fits to his whole purpose. When he talked to Kenjaku, he says he wants to fight Sukuna. And the Sukuna we saw throughout the series was one with 15 fingers, so him being able to go all out against the strongest version would give him a peace of mind to complete his objective. And more than just that, we have to talk about how strong Kashimo is already and how much stronger he can be and why people are sleeping on him. And even though it doesn't seem likely right now, you best believe when Kashimo pulls up, a lot of people are going to be shocked when he's clearly the third strongest user in the series by far.
Those are some bold claims. Those are some very bold claims, my friend. Very bold indeed. Being the third strongest character in the series. And Kenny's right there, bro. And Kenny's right there. I'm not sure I can rock with that. And have we really been sleeping on Kashimo? Or has Kashimo been too awake on himself, bro? I don't know, broski. I don't know. I stroked the beard to that one. I don't really know. There are a lot of claims made there. I'm not sure.
But let me explain why Kashimo is going to be so strong. And first, let's look at the modern day Kashimo. Now, as I've spoken before, he uses his curse energy trait of lightning.
Oh, yeah, one quick thing. I completely forgot. He mentioned that it's in Kashimo's narrative and his desire to fight the strongest, aka Sukuna, based on what he was told by Kenjaku 400 years ago. And I still think, and that's why I find it so fraudulent that he's not fighting Sukuna first. That he's essentially just information gathering. He's just watching and getting everything Sukuna can do beforehand, before hopping in himself. Because if he here's one thing, right? If Kashimo pulls up, reaches into another verse, pulls his hand back out, and throws Sukuna a sensu bean, and Sukuna goes, "Oh, my power is restored." Then maybe it's one thing, but let's go with it. Let's say that Kashimo comes out the cut. Let's say Gojo loses. He just hard loses. Oh no, world's over. Kashimo lands in, activates the super duper unbelievable crazy curse technique, and one shot, or has a good fight with Sukuna and wins. I don't know, would Kashimo really be satisfied with that? Knowing that he beat the strongest while they were fatigued, after they had been spamming cursed energy, dropped the domain, throwing around their cursed techniques, switching between domain amplification and not domain amplification, using the 10 chat, legitimately. Would that even, to me, that wouldn't be a legitimate dub. That wouldn't make Kashimo the strongest. Because, okay, you beat the strongest at their strongest, or not at their strongest. Analogy I used before is you get in a race with Usain Bolt, but it's Usain Bolt after he's ran a 6,400. Yay. You beat Usain Bolt, but he's also super duper tired and you came out fresh. Is that really fair? Does that suddenly make you the fastest man in the world? No. And I think most people would agree. That just wouldn't make you faster. That'd be unfair. And then that's how I see it with Kashimo. If Kashimo gets the dub against fatigued Sukuna, it's always going to come with that asterisk. Fatigued. Who knows how much percentage of energy Sukuna. It wasn't a fresh Sukuna. That feels a little bit. It feels a little bit cheap. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I feel like Kashimo wouldn't even be down with that, but I guess he is. Once again, maybe I just don't understand his character that well. That it just feels a
able
little
to
bit
take
off.
advantage of his opponents, and he basically has conditions which work like a domain effect. He has to build charges, which from estimate, I believe was between any 4 to 7 hits per hit, and then he could charge up his lightning, which basically works like a lightning strike. It would work exactly like a domain expansion short hit. This, as we shown in the fight against Hakari, was mainly used, and we saw on multiple occasions where he nearly killed an unkillable individual. So to speak on his volume of just reinforcement, curse energy manipulation, his hacks are pretty off the charts, and this is without the use of a curse technique. Now to put that in perspective, think of someone like Gojo, think of someone like Sukuna, think of someone like Yuta. Imagine how strong these people are and take away their curse technique, and you see how crazy it is for Kashimo to be doing what he's doing. More than just that, he now has a restriction from what we can assume on his curse technique that he can only use it one time. Now before we go and we theorize potentially on what this restriction is, I want to first make sure people realize how crazy it is for a user to be able to contend with one of the strongest users in the series being Hakari without the use of a curse technique or any other things like that, and I think it's pretty crazy. But now, we obviously talk about his curse technique, and I think I want to address one thing, because a lot of us are expecting it to be lightning. I mean, I'm pretty sure the thumbnail is him doing current, and I think it would be pretty cool if it was something in regard to
Bro knew. But hey, like, don't get me wrong, Kashimo is still crazy, right? Like, he's a top 10 character in the verse without a curse technique. Wild. But I don't know. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think so. I don't think he's top 5.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think he's top.
Is he top 6? 7? I think Yuki beats him. You can make an argument that Yorozu beats him with True Spear. Plus 15 finger speed scaling. 15 finger speed scale. Well, once again, it's just because we don't know. Like, if the weird thing with Hakari and Kashimo is that they're extremely powerful. But if you disregard the Yuta statement, they scale nowhere. Like, sure, infinite curse energy and Kashimo being able to contend with that, cool. Doesn't mean much. Because we know output doesn't necessarily correlate, and speed doesn't necessarily correlate with your amount of curse energy. We know that for a fact. Like, characters like Yuta are still, who has quote-unquote boundless curse energy, should still be slower than a character like Nobito, because Nobito stated to be the second fastest sorcerer, other than Satoru Gojo. And this is in a world where Yuta does exist. That statement about Nobito, I believe that statement about Nobito comes after. Yeah, it does come after the mention of Yuta by Kenjaku. It does straight up come after that. If I'm remembering properly, I think it does. So Yuta, updated Yuta with like his new look and everything, is mentioned before the statement of Nobito being the second fastest sorcerer aside from Gojo is. And we know Yuta has more curse energy than Nobito, so he should be faster, right? No, because it doesn't correlate like that. So even with Jackpot Hakari having infinite curse energy, that doesn't mean he's suddenly faster than 15 finger. So if you have 15 finger speed scaling and a way to hit him and do decent damage, which Yorozu, I think Yorozu, my brain's blank as alright. Yorozu, Maki, and Toji. Jeez, I'm sorry, my brain's lag is hard right now. Yorozu, Maki, and Toji all have plus a way to hit him. That works. That works just fine. So I think that is just something that Kashimo's kind of lacking. So he may not even be top 6 or 7 or 8. So he has a long way to jump. And no, the gaps between 1 and 2 and 3 is already like multiple tiers. Like, you can't even put Kenny like in the same tier as 15 finger Sukuna. Not to talk of 20 finger and Gojo. So there are levels to it. There are definitely levels. to this madness. So
lightning,
I
because
don't know,
lightning-based
let's see.
attacks are just pretty cool. But the likelihood is that it could be something completely different, with the fact that your curse energy trait doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your curse technique. A good example is Hakari has a rough curse energy trait, but has nothing to do with his curse technique, even though we fully don't know what that is. However,
The weird thing is, I feel like Hakari's curse technique got forgotten just as quickly as it was introduced. I do think it is mentioned against Charles, but I don't remember if it's mentioned against Charles like too in depth. And then Kashimo doesn't even take notice of it. Like, Kashimo should have noticed, especially considering he had infinite curse energy, that Hakari's curse energy trait was rough, but he doesn't even mention it. And then Hakari hasn't fought since. So it's been like a whole year or so since Hakari's curse energy trait has been mentioned. So I wonder if Gege actually forgot about
it has
that,
something
'cause
to do
mentioned
with
it, but
his
let's see.
jackpot and restless gambling and probability manipulation or something in regards to that. But in specific, his curse technique and one of a restriction. I think a good series that can be used as a comparison is Hunter x Hunter. For those who are familiar with people such as Kurapika or Gon, you can have Nen build basically vows, which allows them to give up their life for exchange for more power. A good example of that was going against Pito, and we saw the damage he did and how he sacrificed his current potential for him to be the strongest he'll ever be. Now, what if this was amplified in a situation with samples such as Kashimo, where he has given up basically his life or something more to be able to make himself far stronger and add something different in the series? By restricting himself using his curse technique or by giving up his life, he's basically exchanged the maximum effect of a binding vow in comparison for a power that would not be comparable to anyone else in the series. I think that is a lot of the reasons why I have a lot of stock in Kashimo. The complete emphasis on him, his whole purpose coming back to fight Sukuna, him wanting to fight him as his strongest, still seeing him and still being confident to fight him. A lot of people will say, well, oh, he's just gassing himself too much. However, I feel as if just from a narrative perspective, there's been way too much setup comparison to like a Ryu or a Jogo for this clash to go anything similar like those. More than just that, I think it would be a nice expansion on the power system. This whole Gojo versus Sukuna fight has been very good in showing the greatness of the power system and how much it can be expanded upon. Now imagine if that was taken to a whole new level in regard to Kashimo and Sukuna, in which we see Kashimo basically do something completely different in regards to the binding vows, leading to a very devastating curse technique, and potentially Sukuna counteracting with something which, like the Jogo fight, where either that was flames or some special weapon which will obviously put down Kashimo.
I cannot wait to see Kashimo pull up, enter his Lightning God Curse Technique mode, and for Sukuna to call Nue, and Nue just one-shot Kashimo. Or, if you think that's too embarrassing, for Sukuna to pull out his own Lightning Technique and fry Kashimo. That's what I see happening. Kashimo's not
Now,
winning.
to take this to a whole new level, there's a brief theory I read which I will show right now, and I got a lot of inspiration from, in which in Hinduism there is some things which would replicate this clash between Sukuna and obviously Kashimo. In reference, Kashimo would have a weapon which was supposed to be of a one-time technique, and it's supposed to be a lightning attack which could destroy the gods. In essence, Sukuna also has an ability that was gifted to him by Indra, which was to then counteract that ability, and it sets up for them to have this ultimate clash. I believe in the text, it's actually Kashimo or the person indicating that Kashimo ends up destroying something such as Mahoraga, however, he ends up losing to Sukuna overall. Regardless, the setup from whether that is Hinduism, whether that is just in the story, the build-up for this clash is actually one of the most important to me, because from a clash that just seemed very pure on just Kashimo wants to achieve his goal, has now have more narrative stock, as well as some potential references which could end up for it being something special overall. More than just that, it would give us a new bag into Sukuna's curse techniques, which I think would be beautiful. And in my personal opinion, I believe Kashimo is just a cut above compared to some of the other Culling game sorcerers, that his need to prove himself is even greater, and I'd be very disappointed if his fight was to go like a Jogo or Ryu, which I just don't believe will occur. So to conclude, Kashimo not only is strong, he has narrative implications to indicate that his fight with Sukuna will occur. Whether that will be an interruption after the fight with Gojo or something that will occur completely, it really builds up stock for Kashimo to really deliver. More than just that, I've already explained, his base form right now is extremely strong, and that's without the use of his curse technique. Now, tied to that with restrictions and things that could make it even stronger, I believe it would make no sense for Kashimo to not be the first strongest user in the series, and for those who are familiar with My Guy vs. Madra, I do believe it would play in a similar event, with this being something that ends up taking away Kashimo's life. However, he leaves a 10 out of 10 masterclass performance that we will remember forever. However, even if it doesn't play in a similar manner as those influences that we can be seeing for this, even him doing something significant to Sukuna, maybe he doesn't even take out Mahoraga. The whole stock of Kashimo versus Sukuna has given even more narrative. And I think if you're not on the Kashimo agenda, you're sleeping on what could be one of the most interesting fights in this series.
All right. Pause the video at the last second because I know an ad's gonna play, and I'll let it rock after I'm done saying what I gotta say and wrapping up this recording. But big booty butt cheeks, I do get what he means. This was a good video. This was gassing up Kashimo. I do like the theory of the Hinduism implementation and Kashimo's role, and this does give me an idea. I don't think Kashimo is going to take over if Sukuna loses, but I think Sukuna, or if Gojo loses, I think Gojo may tag out though. He may tag out and tag Kashimo in, and then Kashimo does the thing where he like fires the lightning arrow and destroys Mahoraga for Sukuna, for Gojo, then Gojo tags back in, and then Gojo and Sukuna finish their fight. Strongest versus strongest. That's the most I see for Kashimo. Because I don't know. I still don't buy Kashimo suddenly jumping up and being the third strongest character in the series. I don't really buy his curse technique, even with it being a one-time use, being that crazy. Gojo and Sukuna just seem to be too clear of the rest of the verse. Even Kenny seems clear of a majority of the verse. And Kashimo suddenly leaping up to their level just feels wrong. Like, even for Kashimo's narrative of wanting to fight Sukuna, it just doesn't feel right. So, I don't know. I do want to have more faith in Kashimo, but right now, I just fear bro hasn't cooked enough. But, speaking of cooking, this was in fact a W video. Regardless of whether or not I agree or not, the editing was fantastic. The narrative makes sense. He references a lot of good stuff in the narrative, brought some good scaling for Kashimo, how he's powerful, how the narrative references Kashimo as a major antagonist and a proper threat, or at least someone who's going to battle Sukuna. All that super duper good. And please, as we wrap up, go check out the original video. The link will be in the description down below. Make sure you go check out Blzkn Anime's channel. He has a bunch of amazing Jujutsu Kaisen, and I believe other videos too. He doesn't just do JJK, but it's majority JJK. So if you like JJK, go peep, go sub up, go like up, tell him Pencil sent you, I suppose. And yeah, W video. However, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You support Fizzo as one down one to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel Fizzo as there is one to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil. Wait, espera. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.